The message came on a Tuesday. Samantha Kelly had been working in the United Earth Space Communication Center for 3 years when the strange signal appeared. At first, she thought it was just another satellite transmission, but the patterns were unlike anything she had ever seen before. "Ted, come look at this," she called to her supervisor. The tall, thin man walked over and peered at her screen. "What am I looking at, Sam?" he asked, adjusting his glasses. "I don't know, but it's not one of ours. The signal is coming from beyond Mars' orbit." Ted's eyes widened. "Are you saying—" "Yes," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I think someone is trying to talk to us." Within hours, the center was filled with government officials, military personnel, and scientists from around the world. Samantha worked non-stop, trying to decode the alien message. After 3 days with little sleep, she made a breakthrough. "It's a warning," she told Admiral Peter Blackwood, the stern-faced head of the United Earth Fleet. "They call themselves the Galactic Council. They're telling us that another alien group called the Draconids is coming to our solar system." Admiral Blackwood frowned. "A warning? Are they offering help?" Samantha shook her head. "No. They say they have rules against interfering. They're just letting us know." "Fat lot of good that does us," the Admiral muttered. Before Earth could fully prepare, the first Draconid ships appeared near Jupiter, black, sleek vessels that moved with impossible speed. Earth sent messages of peace. The Draconids responded with weapons fire. Alan Morris was at his sister's house in Houston when the first attack came. The sky turned red as Draconid ships entered. The atmosphere. Energy beams cut through buildings like they were made of paper. People ran screaming in the streets. Alan grabbed his nephew Bobby and pushed him under a table as the windows shattered. "Uncle Alan, what's happening?" the boy cried. "Stay down," Alan ordered. A former Navy SEAL, he knew danger when he saw it. This was beyond anything humans had faced before. The attack lasted 20 minutes. When it ended, half of Houston was gone. Just gone. Where buildings had stood were now smoking craters. Alan's sister never came home from work that day. Similar attacks happened all over the world. New York, Moscow, Beijing, London. The Draconids seemed to target places with the most people. At an emergency meeting in the remaining part of the Geneva headquarters, world leaders gathered to plan Earth's defense. "Our missiles barely scratch their shields," said General William Price, showing footage of fighter jets attacking a Draconid ship. The missiles exploded against an invisible barrier surrounding the alien vessel. Admiral Blackwood stood up. "Then we need better weapons. I propose Operation Scorched Earth, the Doomsday Plan," asked the President of the African Union. "That's meant as a last resort. Madam President, aliens are destroying our cities one by one. If this isn't the time for last resorts, when is?" Operation Scorched Earth was approved. Every factory still standing began making weapons. Scientists worked around the clock to understand the alien technology from the little information they had. On the moon base Armstrong, humanity's first off-world military installation, soldiers prepared for the fight of their lives. Among them was Alan Morris, who had volunteered immediately after the Houston attack. "The Draconids think we're easy prey," he told his new team during training. "They expect us to surrender or die. We're going to show them that humans don't give up that easily." Meanwhile, on Titan, a moon of Saturn, representatives from the Galactic Council watched Earth's plight through advanced monitoring equipment. Their base, hidden from human detection, served as an observation post. "The humans fight well for such a young species," noted Counselor Ilara, a tall being with silver skin and large dark eyes. "Most civilizations surrender after the first Draconid attack." "It won't matter," replied her colleague, Counselor Zen. "The Draconids have conquered 17 worlds this cycle. Earth will be 18. We should help them," Ilara said quietly. "You know the ancient protocols. Non-interference in developing worlds is our highest law. We warned them. That's all we can do." Ilara turned away, watching the screens as humans scrambled to defend their planet. Something about their desperate courage moved her. Back on Earth, Samantha Kelly had been transferred to a secure facility deep under the Rocky Mountains. There she worked with a team of linguists and code breakers to learn more about the aliens from the messages they intercepted. The Draconids are saying something about humans being unusually aggressive, she told Admiral Blackwood during a briefing. They seem surprised by our resistance. Good, the Admiral replied. Let's surprise them some more. The first real human victory came 3 weeks after the initial attack. A Draconid ground force had landed near what remained of Chicago. They were searching the ruins when Alan Morris and his Special Forces team struck. Using experimental weapons, developed by Dr. Elizabeth Howard, they managed to penetrate the alien armor. For the first time, humans killed Draconids in battle. The aliens retreated, seemingly shocked that the primitive humans had fought back effectively. News of the Chicago victory spread around the world, giving people hope. More importantly, it gave Dr. Howard valuable information about the alien technology. Their shields have a weakness, she explained to the Joint Military Command. They block energy weapons and high-velocity projectiles, but they have trouble with certain electromagnetic frequencies. We can exploit that. As Dr. Howard and her team worked on new weapons, the Draconids launched another wave of attacks. This time they targeted military installations. The Armstrong moon base faced a direct assault. Half the base was destroyed before its defensive systems could activate. Alan Morris led the counterattack using the moon's low gravity to execute maneuvers the Draconids weren't prepared for. It wasn't a victory, but it wasn't the total defeat the aliens had expected either. On their command ship in Earth orbit, the Draconid commander Zarthul raged at his subordinates. How are these primitives still fighting? Their technology is centuries behind ours. They fight differently, replied his second-in-command. They don't retreat when logical. They fight harder when losing. It's unsettling. Zarthul stared at the image of Earth on his view screen. Increase the attack force. I want this planet subdued within 1 lunar cycle. The humans will learn their place in the galaxy, or they will perish. But as the Draconids prepared their next assault, humanity prepared too. In labs and bunkers around the world, people worked together as never before, and in space, hidden observers from the Galactic Council watched with growing interest as humans refused to accept defeat. For the first time in countless cycles, the Council began to wonder, what if the Draconids had finally met their match? 1 month after the first attack, Earth was a different place. Cities lay in ruins. Billions huddled in underground shelters. The sky, once blue, now had a permanent reddish tint from the dust of destroyed buildings. Yet humans fought on. Alan Morris stood at the entrance of the Rocky Mountain complex, watching as trucks brought in survivors from the latest Draconid attack on Denver. His face was grim. 3 months ago, he had been planning to start a security company after his time in the Navy SEALs. Now he led humanity's most effective fighting force against alien invaders. How bad was it? Asked Dr. Elizabeth Howard as she joined him. Bad, Alan replied. They're using new weapons, some kind of gas that melts concrete. Elizabeth nodded, her tired eyes showing she hadn't slept in days. Come to the lab. I have something to show you. The lab was a massive room deep within the mountain, filled with strange equipment and captured alien technology. Dozens of scientists worked around the clock, trying to understand the enemy's advanced tech. We've been studying their shield frequencies, Elizabeth explained, showing Alan a complex diagram. Every time they attack, we learn more, and I think we've found a pattern. She pressed a button on a nearby console. A small device in the center of the room hummed to life, projecting what looked like a bubble of light. This is our version of their shield, she said. Much weaker, but the principle is the same. Now watch. She picked up what looked like a modified rifle and fired it at the bubble. The energy blast passed straight through the shield and hit the wall behind it. Alan's eyes widened. You cracked their shields? Not completely, Elizabeth cautioned. This only works on a narrow frequency range, but it's a start. We're mass-producing these weapons now. In another part of the complex, Samantha Kelly sat with a secured communications link, speaking with someone off-planet. The next attack will target your southern hemisphere, said the voice of Counselor Ilara, transmitted secretly from the Galactic Council observation post on Titan. Zarthul believes your resistance is centered there. Thank you, Samantha said. This information has saved thousands of lives already. I risk much by helping you, Alara replied. The council remains divided. Some believe interfering would set a dangerous precedent. While they debate, we die, Samantha said bitterly. There was a pause before Alara spoke again. There is something else, the Draconids. They fear you. Fear us? They're destroying our world. Yes, but they don't understand you. In their culture, when defeat is certain, surrender is logical. They cannot comprehend why humans continue fighting against impossible odds. It disturbs them. This information proved crucial when shared with the military command. Admiral Blackwood immediately saw its value. If they're psychologically unprepared for extended resistance, we can use that, he said during the strategy meeting. We need to make every victory cost them dearly. Show them that conquering Earth will be too expensive even with their advanced technology. Captain Frank Delgado, one of Earth's few remaining fighter pilots, raised his hand. I've been testing the new Valkyrie prototype. With Dr. Howard's shield-penetrating weapons, we might be able to take the fight to them in orbit. The Valkyrie was humanity's most advanced spacecraft, built with a combination of human ingenuity and reverse-engineered alien technology. Only 3 existed, hidden in a facility beneath what was once the Amazon rainforest. It's risky, Admiral, Blackwood said. Everything is risky now, sir, Frank replied. But if we can hit their command ships, we might buy Earth some time. The mission was approved. 3 days later, Frank led a small team of pilots in the first human offensive operation since the invasion began. The Valkyries, using stealth technology, approached a Draconid supply ship in Earth orbit. Remember, one shot at the weak point, then retreat, Frank told his team over the comm. Don't get greedy. The attack caught the Draconids completely by surprise. 3 supply ships were destroyed before they could respond. As the Valkyries raced back to Earth, Frank allowed himself a small smile. It wasn't much, but it was something. On the Draconid command ship, Zarthul's rage was terrible to behold. He struck his battlefield commander Trenlack across the face, leaving a purple mark. How did primitive humans penetrate our shields? He demanded. We don't know, High Commander, Trenlack admitted. Their technology shouldn't be capable of it. Increase ground operations, find their leaders and eliminate them. I want this resistance crushed. Following Zarthul's orders, Draconid forces established ground bases in what remained of major cities. From these strongholds, they sent out hunting parties, looking for human resistance fighters. But humans had been fighting guerrilla wars against superior forces for centuries. Alan Morris organized hit-and-run attacks using Dr. Howard's new weapons to devastating effect. Small teams would strike a Draconid patrol, then disappear into the ruins or underground tunnel systems before reinforcements arrived. The aliens, used to direct confrontation, found this maddening. They began to show signs of frustration, making mistakes that cost them dearly. Meanwhile, in the Galactic Council chambers on neutral territory, heated debates continued about the situation on Earth. The humans have survived 3 months against the Draconid war machine, Counselor Alara argued. No other species has lasted more than 1. Doesn't this merit reconsideration of our non-interference policy? Rules are rules, countered Counselor Vex, a tall, thin being with metallic plates where eyes would be on a human. If we help Earth, where do we draw the line? Do we help every primitive world that catches our interest? These primitives have destroyed 17 Draconid vessels, Alara pointed out. They've developed countermeasures to Draconid shields in mere months, something our scientists took decades to achieve. They are exceptional. Or lucky, Vex dismissed. The Draconids will crush them eventually. The matter is closed. But secretly, many council members were beginning to wonder. Reports from the observation post showed humans continuing to fight despite overwhelming odds. Their adaptive capabilities seemed almost unlimited. They took alien technology, understood it, and improved it at a rate that should have been impossible. Back to you. On Earth, in his underground command center, Alan Morris reviewed the latest intelligence with his team. A map showed Draconid positions around the globe. with red markers indicating their strongholds. "They're gathering their forces here, here, and here," he said, pointing to locations in North America, Asia, and Europe. "They're planning something big." "We've got more of Dr. Howard's weapons being distributed to resistance cells worldwide," reported his second-in-command. "But not enough for a direct confrontation." Alan studied the map thoughtfully. "Then we don't confront them directly. We let them come to us, on our terms." He outlined a plan that would use Earth's terrain and the underground bunker systems to maximum advantage. It was risky, but if it worked, it could be the first major human victory of the war. As preparations began, a message arrived from Samantha Kelly. "Potential ally making contact. Non-draconid species. Request meeting." The war was about to enter a new phase. Humanity had proven itself capable of survival. Now it was time to show they could do more than just survive. They could win. The meeting took place on Mars, in an abandoned mining facility that humans had established years before the invasion. Alan Morris went with Samantha Kelly and a small team of soldiers. They wore special suits to protect them from the thin Martian atmosphere. "Are you sure about this?" Alan asked as they waited in the cold, dusty building. "Could be a trap." Samantha checked her translator device. "Counselor Ilara arranged it. She says these aliens hate the draconids even more than we do." Light appeared in the red sky above. It grew larger until they could see it was a ship, but unlike the black angular vessels of the draconids, this one was silver and curved, like a teardrop. The ship landed silently outside the facility. A door opened, and 3 figures emerged. They were tall and slender, with skin that shifted colors like oil on water. Their eyes were large and completely black. "Ashtar," Samantha whispered. "That's what Ilara called them." One of the aliens stepped forward. "I am Kithaven of the Ashtar Resistance. We come to speak with the humans who fight the Draconid Empire." Alan stepped forward. "I'm Alan Morris. This is Samantha Kelly. We represent Earth." Kithaven made a gesture with long, 6-fingered hands. "Your world has done what many thought impossible. You have held back the Empire for nearly 4 months. We have been fighting them for 300 years. Inside the facility, humans and Ashtar sat at a makeshift table. The aliens declined offers of water or food, explaining that they did not consume while on diplomatic missions. "The Draconids destroyed our home world centuries ago," Kithaven explained. "We have fought from hidden bases ever since. We monitor their communications. When we heard of their trouble conquering Earth, we became curious. We're barely hanging on," Alan admitted. "They have better technology, more ships, more weapons." "Yet you fight," another Ashtar said. "This one had darker skin patterns. Most species surrender within days." Samantha leaned forward. "Counselor Ilara mentioned this. The Draconids don't understand why we keep fighting when we're clearly outmatched." Kithaven's skin rippled in what might have been amusement. "They believe in logical outcomes. If defeat is mathematically certain, resistance is illogical. Humans appear to operate on different mathematics." "We call it hope," Alan said simply. The Ashtar looked at each other, communicating silently in some way the humans couldn't perceive. "We propose an alliance," Kithaven finally said. "We have technology we can share. You have unpredictability. The Draconids cannot counter." Back on Earth, General William Nash coordinated the global resistance from the last functioning space station in low orbit. When Alan's team returned with the Ashtar representatives, Nash was skeptical. "How do we know we can trust them?" he asked in a private meeting. "We don't," Alan admitted. "But they've brought shield disruptors and weapon designs far beyond what we have now. Dr. Howard says it's legitimate." Nash rubbed his tired eyes. "At this point, we don't have many options. The Draconids have stepped up their attacks. We lost Buenos Aires yesterday. Working together proved challenging but productive. The Ashtar were logical and precise, unused to human emotions and intuitive leaps. But they respected the results humans achieved. In Dr. Howard's lab, Ashtar scientists helped perfect the shield-penetrating weapons. What might have taken humans years to develop was completed in weeks. Their technology is amazing, Elizabeth told Alan as they watched an Ashtar engineer reconfigure a human missile. But they're so careful. They test everything a dozen times before using it. And we just throw stuff together and hope it works, Alan said with a small smile. Exactly. And sometimes our crazy solutions work better than their careful ones. They seem fascinated by that. News of the Alliance reached the Galactic Council through Alara's reports. The council chamber erupted in chaos. "This is unprecedented," shouted Councillor Vex. "The Ashtar have violated neutrality laws by directly aiding Earth." "The Ashtar are not council members," Alara pointed out calmly. "They are not bound by our laws. But you facilitated this contact," accused another councillor. "You have broken our most sacred principle of non-interference." The debate raged for days. Meanwhile, on Earth, the first joint human Ashtar operation was planned. The target, a major Draconid base established in the ruins of London. Captain Frank Delgado led a squadron of fighters equipped with Ashtar technology. The plan was simple but daring. A direct assault to test the new weapons and draw attention while Alan's ground team infiltrated the base. The attack began at dawn. Human fighters screamed through the sky, firing weapons that cut through Draconid shields like they weren't there. On the ground, Alan led his team through the sewers and subway tunnels beneath London. The Draconids were caught completely by surprise. Their shields, once thought impenetrable, failed against the combined human Ashtar technology. Their ground forces, expecting humans to attack in a logical, direct manner, were unprepared for Alan's team emerging inside their base. For the first time since the invasion began, a major Draconid base fell to human forces. The victory, though small in the grand scheme of the war, spread hope around the world. On his command ship, Zarthul received the news with cold fury. "The Ashtar," he hissed. "They have joined the humans." Trenlock, his face still bearing the mark from his commander's earlier blow, nodded cautiously. "Our forces report their technology mixed with human designs. It's effective." "Call the home fleet," Zarthul ordered. "I want every available ship here within one cycle. We will crush this alliance before it grows stronger." The order went out across Draconid space. Ships that had been conquering other worlds or patrolling Draconid territory changed course for Earth. The Empire was bringing its full might against the troublesome human world. In the Galactic Council, the mood shifted. As reports came in of the Draconid fleet movements, "They're committing their reserve forces," Councillor Vex said, his metallic eye plates gleaming with concern. "This has never happened before, not for a single world." "Perhaps we have underestimated these humans," said another councillor. "To warrant such a response from the Empire." Alara stood. "I move that we formally vote on intervention. The situation has changed dramatically." "Seconded," said a councillor who had previously supported non-interference. The vote was scheduled. For the first time in 10,000 years, the Galactic Council would consider breaking its oldest law. On Earth, the human Ashtar alliance prepared for the coming storm. More Ashtar ships arrived daily, taking position alongside the remnants of Earth's forces. In labs and factories around the world, new weapons were built at a frantic pace. General Nash addressed the combined forces from his orbital command center. "The Draconids are coming with everything they have," he said. His voice transmitted to every resistance base on Earth and every ship in orbit. "They think this will break us. They think we'll finally see that resistance is, as they say, illogical." He paused, looking at the humans and Ashtar gathered before him. "Let's show them just how illogical humans can be." The Draconid reinforcements arrived 3 weeks later. Hundreds of ships appeared at the edge of the solar system, a fleet larger than anything humans had imagined possible. Earth's long-range sensors, enhanced with Ashtar technology, detected their approach. "There are so many," Samantha Kelly whispered as she stood with Alan Morris and Admiral Blackwood in the command center. The display showed the Draconid fleet as a mass of red dots moving steadily toward Earth. Admiral Blackwood's face remained stone-like. "Numbers aren't everything. We have a plan." The plan had been developed by human and Ashtar strategists working together. It was unlike anything either species would have created alone. The humans contributed bold, risky tactics, while the Ashtar added precision and technical expertise. At the South Pole, Dr. Elizabeth Howard worked with her team to complete a planetary shield system. The massive generators buried deep in the Antarctic ice would create an energy barrier around the entire planet. It combined Earth's power generation with Ashtar shield technology. "Will it hold?" Elizabeth asked the Ashtar engineer beside her. The alien skin flickered with blue patterns. "Against a normal attack, yes, but if they use Nova bombs..." Nova bombs were the most destructive weapons in the Draconid arsenal. They could destroy entire planets. The Ashtar had seen them used on their homeworld centuries ago. "Then we better make sure they don't get a chance to use them," Elizabeth replied, making final adjustments to the system. In space, Admiral Blackwood positioned the combined human Ashtar fleet in a formation that made no sense to traditional military thinking. Instead of creating a defensive line around Earth, the ships were scattered throughout the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. "The trap is set," Admiral Blackwood told General Nash via secure communication. "Now we wait." The Galactic Council had finally voted on intervention. By a margin of just 3 votes, they decided to maintain the non-interference policy. But they added an important exception. Individual council members could provide aid at their own discretion. After the vote, several advanced civilizations began sending technology and supplies to Earth. Though they wouldn't fight directly, their contributions strengthened Earth's defenses considerably. Counselor Ilara met with Samantha Kelly on the Moon, bringing news of the vote. "It's not the full intervention we hoped for," Ilara admitted, "but it's more than we've done for any world in 10,000 years. "Why?" Samantha asked. "What makes Earth different?" Ilara's large eyes blinked slowly. "You scare them." "The Council?" "We scare them?" "Yes. They've watched your kind fight against impossible odds. They've seen how quickly you adapt, how fiercely you protect your world. Some believe that if humans survive this war and gain advanced technology, you might become unpredictable. So they help us just enough to keep the Draconids busy, but not enough to ensure we win," Samantha concluded. "Politics is rarely simple, even among the stars," Ilara said sadly. The Draconid fleet entered the inner solar system 3 days later. As expected, they moved directly toward Earth, ignoring the scattered ships hiding among the asteroids. "They're so confident," Captain Frank Delgado said from the bridge of his ship, the upgraded Valkyrie. "They don't even consider us a threat." "That's their weakness," Alan replied over the comm. He was on a special mission with a small team, their ship hidden in the shadow of a large asteroid. "They never think we can hurt them until we do." When the main Draconid fleet passed through the asteroid belt, Admiral Blackwood gave the signal. The hidden ships activated their engines simultaneously and attacked from all directions. The battle was chaotic and violent. Human Ashtar ships darted between the larger Draconid vessels, firing weapons that penetrated their shields. The Draconids, caught by surprise, struggled to respond to attacks coming from all sides. On Earth, people watched through telescopes and enhanced video feeds as flashes of light lit up the space between planets. For the first time since the invasion began, they felt real hope. But Zarthul was not defeated so easily. His flagship, nearly twice the size of any other vessel, pushed through the ambush toward Earth. A third of the Draconid fleet followed, while the rest engaged the human Ashtar forces. "They've broken through," Admiral Blackwood announced grimly. "Activate the shield." At the South Pole, Dr. Howard initiated the planetary shield system. Energy surged through the generators, creating a shimmering blue barrier around the Earth. The Draconid ships fired on it immediately, testing its strength. "Shield holding at 87%, reported one of Elizabeth's assistants. "Reroute power from the eastern grid," she ordered. "We need to maintain at least 70%. In orbit, Zarthul watched with growing frustration as his weapons failed to penetrate Earth's unexpected defense. He had not anticipated such technology from a primitive world. "Prepare the Nova Bomb," he ordered Trenlach. "If we cannot conquer this world, we will destroy it." Trenlach hesitated. "High Commander, Nova Bombs are meant for uninhabited systems. The Empire's laws—" "Do not quote laws to me," Zarthul roared. "These humans have defied us for too long. They have allied with our ancient enemies. They will be an example to all who resist the Empire." The order spread through the Draconid fleet. A special ship moved into position, carrying the weapon that could end all life in the solar system. Alan's team, having slipped past the main battle, approached Zarthul's flagship undetected. Their mission was the most dangerous of all, to capture or kill the Draconid commander. "We're in position," Alan told his team as their small ship attached to the hull of the massive flagship. "Remember, we get in, find Zarthul, and get out. No heroics." Using Ashtar cutting tools, they created an entrance through the hull. The Draconids, focused on the battle outside, didn't detect the small team of humans infiltrating their command ship. Meanwhile, Samantha Kelly had decoded a critical message from the Draconid communication network. "They're preparing a Nova Bomb," she told Admiral Blackwood urgently. "If they detonate it, it will destroy everything: Earth, Mars, the entire inner solar system." Admiral Blackwood's face paled. "Can the shield stop it?" "No shield can stop a Nova Bomb," replied Kithaven, who stood nearby. "We must destroy the bomb before they can activate it." A desperate race began. Admiral Blackwood ordered all available ships to target the Nova Bomb carrier. But the Draconids formed a protective ring around it, sacrificing ships to ensure the high weapon reached its launch position. On Zarthul's flagship, Alan's team fought their way through corridors filled with alien technology. They had memorized the ship's layout from Ashtar intelligence, but still faced heavy resistance. "The command center should be one level up," Alan told his team as they took cover from Draconid energy weapons. "We need to move faster." In the Galactic Council chamber, emergency alarms sounded as monitoring systems detected the Nova Bomb's activation sequence. "They cannot be allowed to use such a weapon," Councillor Vex shouted, his previous opposition to intervention forgotten. "This violates all war conventions." "The vote has been taken," another councillor reminded him. "We cannot interfere directly." Ilara stood suddenly. "Then I resign from the council. I will not stand by and watch a world die when I could help prevent it." Several other councillors rose to join her. For the first time in its ancient history, the Galactic Council faced a rebellion within its ranks. As the Nova Bomb counted down to launch, three forces converged. Alan's team closing in on Zarthul, the combined fleet fighting desperately to reach the bomb ship, and a small group of rebellious councillors racing to Earth in their personal vessels. The fate of Earth, and perhaps the galaxy, hung in the balance. The command center of Zarthul's flagship was a large circular room with screens showing the battle raging around Earth. Zarthul stood in the center, his scaled skin reflecting the red emergency lights. He was much larger than the other Draconids, with a crest of bony spikes running down his back. "Nova Bomb at 90% charge," reported a Draconid officer. "Ready to deploy in 3 minutes." Zarthul made a sound that might have been laughter. "Soon, the humans will be nothing but cosmic dust. The Ashtar will follow. The Council will remember why the Draconid Empire is feared throughout the galaxy." The doors to the command center exploded inward. Alan Morris and his team rushed in, firing the special weapons Dr. Howard had designed. 3 Draconid officers fell immediately. The others drew weapons and returned fire. "Find cover," Alan shouted to his team as energy bolts filled the air. He dove behind a console, spotting Zarthul across the room. The Draconid commander looked directly at him with cold, reptilian eyes. "Human," Zarthul hissed. "You are too late. Your world dies today." Meanwhile, the battle for the Nova Bomb ship intensified. Captain Frank Delgado led a squadron of Valkyries in a desperate attack run. "We need to hit their main engine," he told his pilots. "It's the only way to stop them from reaching deployment position." The Valkyries weaved through enemy fire, taking hits but pressing forward. Frank's ship shuddered as a Draconid blast struck its wing. "Come on, hold together," he muttered, pushing the damaged craft to its limits. He lined up his shot on the Nova bomb carrier's engine section and fired every weapon his ship had. The explosion was blinding. The engine section of the Nova bomb carrier erupted in flames. The massive ship began to drift off course, its trajectory shifting away from the optimal detonation point. "We hit it," Frank shouted. "But it's still active. We need to destroy it completely." On Earth, Dr. Howard monitored the planetary shield. It was holding against the Draconid fleet's attacks, but power levels were dropping. 63% and falling, said her assistant. "We're losing the South Asian grid." Elizabeth worked frantically to reroute power. "We need 10 more minutes. Just 10 more minutes." In space, the rebel counselors' ships arrived. They were not warships, but carried advanced technology far beyond what humans or even Ashtar possessed. Ilara's vessel led them directly toward the damaged Nova bomb carrier. "This violates everything I have believed for centuries," Ilara told her fellow rebels. But sometimes principles must give way to compassion. Their ships fired strange weapons that seemed to bend space itself. The Nova bomb carrier began to break apart, its structure failing under the assault. But the bomb itself remained intact, now floating free among the debris. Its countdown continued. On Zarthul's flagship, Alan had lost half his team in the fierce fighting. The Draconid commander himself fought with shocking speed and strength, killing 2 humans with his bare claws. "You fight well for a primitive," Zarthul told Alan as they faced each other across the command center. "Most of the other Draconids were dead or wounded, but your species will still perish." "We're harder to kill than you think," Alan replied, searching for an opening. Zarthul lunged forward with surprising speed. Alan barely dodged the attack, the Draconid's claws grazing his arm. He countered with a strike to Zarthul's throat, but the alien's tough hide absorbed most of the impact. They fought hand-to-hand in the center of the command center, a human against a being twice his size, with natural weapons and armor. But Alan had one advantage. Zarthul had never faced human fighting styles before. Alan feinted left, then dropped and swept Zarthul's legs. The Draconid commander fell hard. Before he could recover, Alan pressed his weapon against Zarthul's. "Aye. Order your fleet to stand down," Alan demanded. "Call off the Nova bomb now." For a moment, Zarthul seemed ready to refuse. Then a message came through the ship's communication system. "High Commander," said Trenlock's voice. "The Nova bomb has been contained. The Council representatives have used stasis technology. It can no longer be detonated." Zarthul's eyes widened in shock. "The Council interfered? Impossible. It's over," Alan told him. "You've lost." In the space around Earth, the battle began to shift. With the Nova bomb neutralized and Zarthul captured, the Draconid fleet lost coordination. Individual ships began to retreat, jumping away to safety. Admiral Blackwood watched from his command ship as the enemy fled. "I never thought I'd see Draconids run," he said quietly. On Earth, people emerged from underground bunkers to see the flashes of light in the sky as the last Draconid ships departed. After months of fear and fighting, a strange feeling spread across the planet. Victory. 3 days later, representatives from Earth, the Ashtar, and the Galactic Council met on the moon base. Samantha Kelly, Admiral Blackwood, and General Nash represented humanity. Kithaven spoke for the Ashtar. Ilara and 5 other former counselors attended for the council. "The Draconid Empire has agreed to peace talks," Ilara announced. "For the first time in their history, they have been forced to negotiate rather than conquer." "Will they respect any treaty?" Admiral Blackwood asked skeptically. "They have no choice," Kithaven replied. "They lost nearly a third of their fleet here. Their homeworld is vulnerable. They know that if they break the peace, the Ashtar and humans together could strike at their core systems." Samantha looked at the group gathered around the table. "And the council? What happens now?" Ilara's skin shimmered with soft light. "The council is changing. Our intervention has broken thousands of years of tradition. Many believe it was wrong. Others think it was long overdue, but all agree that humanity has earned the right to be heard." "What does that mean exactly?" asked General Nash. It means, General, that Earth will be granted provisional membership in the Galactic Council, the first new member in 5 centuries. The implications were enormous. Access to galactic technology, trade routes, and protection under Council law. Earth had not only survived, it had emerged as a recognized power among the stars. 1 year later, Alan Morris stood at a viewing platform in the newly built spaceport near Geneva. Beside him stood Elizabeth Howard, now head of Earth's Technological Development Agency. "There she is," Alan said, pointing to a massive ship rising slowly into the blue sky. Unlike the cobbled-together vessels of the war, this was a true starship, built with the combined knowledge of humans, Ashtar, and Council technology. The ship named Defiance was Earth's first official exploration vessel. Its mission: to represent humanity among the stars. "Did you ever think we'd get here?" Elizabeth asked, watching the ship climb higher. Alan thought about the past year, the rebuilding, the technological leaps, the changes in human society as people adjusted to knowing they weren't alone in the universe. "Actually," he said with a smile, "I never doubted it for a minute." As the Defiance disappeared into the clouds, members of the Galactic Council watched from their own ships in orbit. They observed with fascination, and perhaps a touch of apprehension, as humanity took its first steps as a galactic civilization. Earth had been besieged, Earth had fought back, and now Earth would explore the stars. The Council could only watch, not in fear anymore, but in wonder.